Hello, my name is Chris Sardo, and this is me presenting my game Death Dash that I made for Project 3 for my HTML IGME 235 course. The main inspiration behind this game, if you're familiar with an arcade game called Robotron, it's a twin stick shooter where you can move around with one of the arcade sticks, and the other arcade stick allows you to shoot in all directions, so you can move and shoot in different directions at the same time. And the goal of it is to uh, not get killed by all the robots that are trying to hunt you, and save all the civilians on the screen. Um, I thought it'd be kind of interesting to turn the idea on its head, where you can't fight back against the enemies that are trying to kill you. You can't kill them directly. You can only hold them back. They will eventually get to you if you're not careful, and get cornered, much like the Terminator, which is something I just thought of just now. Um, the or not the two, the way I went about developing this game, um, like I said, I had the initial pitch, with the player, shield, enemies, the triangles that uh, you collect, and I kind of used the foundation I got while developing in Monogame and C Sharp last semester, and some of the JavaScript this semester, as kind of like a starting point. I kind of had a good idea of what I wanted to do and how I would do it in those programs. The challenge became transferring some of those ideas into Pixie.js, which is the coding software that I use to build this game. And the two main foundations I used for that is I used the Circle Blast homework as a baseline to build off of, and I used some of Professor Chin's Pixie.js tutorial videos on YouTube, specifically the keyboard control one, because Circle Blast did not use keyboard controls. So I had to figure out how to do that. Let's just so on the title screen here, it's the alpha edition because my original idea was slightly different, and I had to make some last minute changes because I wasn't able to do exactly what I wanted exactly what I wanted within the timeline or the deadline. But anyway, you have the instructions page here. It just lays out the controls of the game: move with the arrow keys, move the shield with the mouse, use the shield to slow down the enemies, collect all of the triangles, and it's a game over when you lose all your lives. So there you go. I guess without further ado, let's start the game here. I am the player is the blue square. I'm moving around with the arrow keys. The shield is the white, like faded square thing, and that you can hover over the enemies to slow them down, just like the instructions said. And these triangles over here are the items that you need to collect, and you heard the sound effect when I collected one of them earlier. There you go. Whoops. That wasn't supposed to happen on the first level. That's the easiest one. But anyway, I guess we'll talk about this earlier than expected. On the game over screen, when you get hit by an enemy, it displays your current score and your current level. But you start out with 5 lives, and since I still have lives, there's a continue button here that you can use to continue the game. So we'll continue here. And unfortunately, I guess, but I'll say by design right now, the triangles, the items reset. So you have to collect all 5 of them again to progress. Once you collect the 5th triangle over here, the game moves on. These enemies are the chasers, named after their relentless chasing of the player. They just kind of mirror the player's, or they try to approach the player's X and Y coordinates at all times directly, so they just mirror directly. They just chase after you. And you start with 3 on the first level, and every subsequent level, 3 more are added to the game scene. So when I collect this triangle, we'll start a new level. You have 6 6 enemies, and they all start at the top every time to kind of give you time to plan what you're gonna do, where you're gonna go, who you're gonna hold back. Um, and pretty soon, I believe the next level here will be introduced to our first new enemy. Yep. So the green guy over here is what I called a sneaker in the code. Um, but originally it was because they were supposed to have the same speed as a slowed down enemy. But when you put your shield over them, they would dash at you. And I felt that they weren't they weren't much of an issue when they were really slow. They were only really an issue when they dashed at you. But since they were so slow, you can kind of avoid them altogether. So instead, I made them the same speed as the other balls, but instead of being slowed down, they exponentially speed up. So it can be tricky if all the enemies are grouped together and you're trying to hold back the red guys here, but if you put your shield over them, the green guy is going to jump at you much faster. So the idea here is that you want to separate out the green guys and the red guys so that you don't get put in one of those situations. And it's pretty easy on these early levels to do that, but once you get further in the game, it gets a lot harder to separate them out like this. And now, I believe every level now, after the third level, 1 sneaker is added to the scene. So we should see 2 here, which seems to be the case. Let's just quickly, almost ran into them there. It's like hand-eye coordination is also important as well for this game. So here we go. The next level will be introduced to the third enemy that I implemented, which is inspired directly from the Circle Blast homework, where the enemies in that game just sort of bounce off the walls. Oh no, I hit right click and now I can't go up. That's interesting. Oh, I know what happened. There we go. Sorry, I guess when you right click while holding a button, while holding one of the keyboard buttons, when you get out of the right click menu, it'll just keep holding down that button until you reset it, I guess. I don't know. that was kind of weird. But anyway, next level here. Oh, not this level. This is level 5. So quickly, I'll just get through here. Now it starts to get more challenging because the enemies, there's so many more to worry about. But anyway, up here is the purple guy, and those are the bouncers. They'll just bounce around the scene. You can still slow them down with the shield, but they're mainly there to just get in the way, which later on, one of them is added every level after the 6th level. So say you get to like the 15th level, you'll have so many more of these guys bouncing around the screen that you have to get around. And I don't know if I will spend the time to get to that point during this demonstration, but that is essentially the game. So one of the strategy that I have is when all the enemies spawn in, you kind of pick the side with the least amount of green guys and hold them back so that you can kind of create a path there. And that was kind of the idea behind it, is you kind of hold certain enemies back. You hold certain enemies back, and then you dodge the rest and kind of create paths for you so that you don't get cornered. And that was the original idea. I originally wanted it to be more like a puzzle game where it's every level is a predetermined set of enemies and like spawn locations, so that say you're surrounded by red guys and 1 green guy, you could either hold back one of the red guys to slow them down and create an opening that way, or you could put it on the green guy and make him dash towards you, but while he does that, he opens up a path for you to run around them that way. So that was kind of the puzzle aspect. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to figure out how to do that with the time I had allotted to make the game. So instead, now it's formed into sort of like a bullet hell, where you're just dodging patterns and whatnot. So that is essentially the game. I guess I'll beat this level, but I only have 2 lives here. Like I said, game over shows your current score and your current level. But if you continue, I have 1 life. If I die, that was my last life. I no longer have the option to continue the game because I'm out of lives. So there's my final score. It's an 83. Final level I got was 16. I think my record so far has been 24. I haven't thought about that too much. I probably should have. I think it was 24, but it could have been higher or lower. But anyway, that is essentially Death Dash. Um, the Alpha Edition, I guess, because I do want to. Once I learn more of the intricacies of Pixie.js, I do want to go back in and see if I can edit this, maybe add more enemies, but mainly do that kind of predetermined level system that I thought of in the original pitch, because I see a lot of potential in the idea as both as a game and as a great portfolio piece. And being Pixie.js, you can just have it on like a link on the portfolio, and the person reviewing it doesn't have to like download anything. They can just go to the website, click the button, play in the game. There you go. So yeah, that's it, I believe. The main challenges that I had were doing the keyboard controls, because it's kind of weird how Pixie.js does that. So thank you, Professor Chin, for teaching me in your tutorial video how to do that properly. And there was a lot of fussing with the menus and the buttons and all the duplicate buttons, because you can't, for at least from what I found, you can't say this return the menu button. It's in 3 menus technically. The continue game over menu, the game over menu, and this menu. So you would think that you'd be able to make one return the menu button and have it be in all the scenes. But from what I found, you can't, in Pixie.js, you can't make one button and connect it with more than one scene. So there's actually 3 separate return the menu buttons in the code, which is kind of annoying. Hopefully I didn't miss some important thing that would allow me to make one button and put them in all the scenes. But that was kind of annoying. And just a lot of trial and error with the shield mechanic, figuring out how to slow down the enemies, figuring out how that movement code worked from the circle blast. And once I kind of got that, it was easy to implement the rest of the enemies. But overall, despite coming out different than what I expected, I find the game very fun in a different way, in more of a bullet hell way. And I am proud of what I made. It's a fun game. Hopefully I can improve it in the future, but as is, I can't be more happy. So thank you very much for watching. I have been Chris Asardo. This has been Death Dash. I hope you enjoyed, and have a great rest of your day.